In this scene, we have approximately 1 million polygons in view. And these polygons contain normal maps that were created from approximately 200 million polygons of source art. So what you have here is essentially 10 times the geometry detail of Unreal Tournament 2004 and approximately 100 times the lighting detail. Now every pixel in this scene is being rendered in a completely new rendering pipeline. All of our lighting is taking place in 64-bit floating point color space for high dynamic range color. We use the high dynamic range both for improved visual fidelity and visual accuracy, and also for special effects such as lenticular halos and light blooms. Now the lighting pipeline is probably the biggest area of improvement and change in third generation Unreal Engine, and we're going to show some more on lighting. Now absolutely every pixel in the world is completely accurately per pixel shadowed and per pixel lit by every light source. And we have a combination of techniques allowing for soft shadows, such as this this moving torch here with the fuzzy penumbra volume that's moving through the level, and dynamic shadows based on stencil buffers, such as the creeping shadows you see on the geometry here. Now this is all taking advantage of DirectX 9's Pixel Shader 2.0 and 3.0 model to do things that just absolutely weren't possible before in previous generations of the hardware. One of the major effects is this virtual displacement mapping technology, where we actually have a pixel shader that's 50 to 100 instructions, which simulates the parallax effect of bump maps. So besides just adding special effects, we're actually creating pixel shaders which qualitatively improve the visual quality of the engine. Now, that virtual displacement mapping technique was just one example of a new shader technique we've had. We now have a completely artist-configurable shader pipeline, where artists create shaders using a visual tool that's similar to 3D Studio Max or Maya, except everything is real-time. So what we have here are an object on the right-most side, an object with simple normal mapping, an object with an environment map, an object with an iridescence shader that's simulating an anisotropic iridescent material, and then another arbitrary artist-created material. And all of these translate to shaders which are between 50 and 100 pixel shader instructions long. And here we have another example of the virtual displacement mapping technology, just to simulate the effect of a brick wall. Now, we'll move on and show a few more other effects. Here we have a pixel shader which is performing some frame buffer distortion, which actually simulates pretty accurately ray tracing effects of light passing through glass and being reflected and refracted. Here we have another example of over-ripening with color. And now over here we have an example of a character who's being lit by dynamic rotating light, which has a projective light volume attached to it. And the character is receiving arbitrary per pixel light. He's also being self-shadowed properly by the light source, and he's casting fuzzy dynamic shadow volumes onto the level. In Unreal 1, our first game, our characters were about 300 polygons. Unreal Tournament 2003, they're about 1,500. Here, our characters are around 10,000 polygons, but they're created from source art that was between 2 and 6 million polygons. So we're seeing an increase in lighting detail of approximately 200 to 500 times. Now this character, for example, if you look up closely at him, you see the detail that's coming from normal mapping, bump mapping, and self-shadowing. This character has more data in terms of geometry and texture maps than an entire level in our original Unreal game. And this is another cannon fodder type of creature. This is for our unannounced upcoming game. Now we're going to throw these together into a level and show some simulation of a game type of scene. Now our next generation game is pretty early in development, but the third generation Unreal Engine and its completely new render have been in development for about 18 months. Back then we started and we're running at 2 to 5 frames a second. And this happens to be the first public showing of the third generation Unreal Engine, and uncoincidentally it's because the GeForce 6800 is the first video card that's capable of running this technology at really decent frame rates.